this is all about what McLaren could have done. I think it's a little bit disrespectful to Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, who've turned up with a good package. Qualified P1 and P2, by the way. This wasn't some muggy fluke. They've turned up with genuine upgrades, and I don't think they've been able to show exactly how upgradey their updates are the last few races because of various incidents. And I think Lewis Hamilton's scruffiness on a Saturday, finding himself qualifying in the carbon fibre zone, getting involved in race incidents, he was really confident going into the Austrian Grand Prix and then had a bit of a disaster. That's why he was so glum the last couple of races, by not really able to maximize what he felt was there. And today, it came together, and we frankly don't know what they had in hand because they were looking so strong before the rain came down. If you want to do what ifs, because this seems to be this given that you can just take away all the factors that disadvantage McLaren and forgive all of those, but let's do a what if for Mercedes. If that rain didn't come down and put everything into McLaren's wheelhouse, Lewis Hamilton was looking absolutely on fire. He'd managed those mediums to a point that those other teams couldn't. So he could have gone into the second stint and the back end of the race with way more tyre options, with a big tyre life delta. I think Mercedes didn't even show what they had in that first stint. Then we don't know what they had in the last stint because he was ahead managing the gap. When Verstappen closed that gap down to 2 seconds, Hamilton was able to manage that. And I think the second the Norris started falling back, Hamilton's managing the gap to Verstappen. It's like Norris wasn't even there. So he's managing the gap to Verstappen, closes down to about 2 seconds, holds there until, as Matt points out, the last final couple of laps where everyone's waving at the crowd and getting their flags ready. So Lewis Hamilton was definitely managing a non-zero amount. So I think whilst all the focus has been on McLaren once again, coulda, woulda, shoulda, that's taken away from the fact that Mercedes have had a bit of a blinding weekend here.
It was just a typical Lewis Hamilton drive that we saw today. I think it was only when Norris and Piastri got through with that first sprinkling of rain that Lewis dropped back maybe to about 4 seconds off the lead. But other than that, it was never more than 4 seconds away from the lead. And he just knew exactly what he needed to do in every single phase of this race. When he dropped back from George, he wasn't fussed about him getting away. He had Lando covered behind him. He then settled down, of course, into the intermediate run where Norris was ahead, and he sat for around 3 seconds. And then towards the end of that stint, he really closed in. And that is the experience of not just Lewis Hamilton, the driver, but Lewis Hamilton at. I mean, there's no coincidence that this guy has won in all manner of conditions 9 times now.
And the last 2 seasons on the podium, even with pigs.
Exactly, and circuit knowledge definitely plays a factor. And I was saying before the race, yes, we've seen a downbeat Lewis Hamilton. He's on his way out. We've talked about the quiet quitting. You never truly perform to your peak performance in any role when you've handed in your notice. But if there's one track, if there was one race that he was going to be G'd up for, and look, the stars aligned, Mercedes upgrade alignment with the British Grand Prix and a G'd up Lewis Hamilton, then that's a scary package, and that's what we saw today.
Absolutely. And as Scott said, he is very special at Silverstone, and is particularly special at looking after his tyres at Silverstone. And 9 wins could have so easily been 10. Think back to 2013 with the exploding tyres, and particularly his first season in the Mercedes, when the Mercedes had loads of pole positions but couldn't literally last past lap 5 because they destroyed their tyres. That Silverstone weekend, he was leading comfortably and getting his tyres further than we'd seen on the Mercedes, and looked like he was going to cruise to a decent victory before he had a spectacular blowout, which pretty much destroyed the floor of his car. So we've seen this from Hamilton before. And was it 2020 when he finished on 3 wheels? Because he was like nursing the tyres around at the end.
It was glorious.
He is absolutely magic at nursing his tyres. And we've seen this at other tracks, but particularly he has a little sprinkling of Silverstone magic dust that he somehow powders his nose with every morning that he wakes up there.
Can't wait to see the YouTube comments. Sorry. Yes, bit of British bias. Shut up, of course.
Well, it's been a little bit of a stat for you. It's been 945 days since Lewis Hamilton last stood on the top step. Saudi Arabia, 2021. It's nearly 1,000 days. And that's for a man until the dreaded no side pod car won a race in every single season he competed in. So Yeah, if there was any race he was going to win again, it would be Silverstone. But also a testament to the knowledge. I heard after the race in some analysis that Mercedes focused on setting up the car and looking after that front left tyre. That's the tyre that takes the most battering around Silverstone. And supposedly other teams kind of neglected that, which I think is just a massive oversight.
They had Bono. They interviewed him after the race, and he says, well, yeah, we were a bit concerned about the sauce on the front because that's where you're weak, but we know that Lewis is just very, very good at this, and so we trust him with that. And then, when he tells me to shut up, that the game is on, and
that's great.
The Lewis we have all been missing came back today, and it was fantastic.
I love that, because you do often wonder, because it does come across quite rude, but for Bono to take that as a shut up, mate, and he's like, yes, I've been told to shut up. But yeah, really, really emotional for those guys. Great scenes, obviously, for Lewis Hamilton winning at the British Grand Prix, and the scenes in the cool down room, I think, are something I want to sort of touch on as I move the conversation to Max Verstappen, who I think had a bit of a blinder today.